Do you feel like you've had a couple minutes to go through that handout together?
Yes.
Do you need another couple minutes? Are you feeling okay? I'm going to take silence as you're feeling okay. So I'd love to hear how that went. Did you guys find it hard? Did you?
We did not find it very hard.
No?
No.
What went well? What worked well? Tell me about your
Some of the other activities we had used the eating, and this one we changed it to totally
so you changed it up a little bit.
changed it up a little bit. We got some issues all over the board to work on.
And now what did that embedded learning opportunity look like?
It was using friends as examples. Oh, look, Johnny said he needs to use the potty. Do you need to use the potty? Using words such as I need again. And then our response, positive reinforcement. Yay, you told us you need to use the bathroom. We're so proud of you. Why don't you have playtime?
Awesome. So there's some reinforcement on two different, venues, a little verbal reinforcement as well as some activity reinforcement. Hey, you did a really great job telling me that. Now do you want to go play with your friend Sally? Awesome. I like using that twice. How about anybody else? Jess, what did your embedded learning opportunity look like?
We were trying to get Casey to sit in his chair for a longer period of time. He doesn't like to sit at lunch, so we thought maybe we'd incorporate a morning meeting with other friends, sitting in chairs, bringing him a chair, using positive reinforcements. Look at your friends sitting in their chairs, go say things, good job. Maybe getting a friend to bring over a chair to him.
A little peer support.
Peer support, maybe using him as like the chair helper for the day. Just trying to get him more used to sitting, I guess, than he normally was.
Awesome. So maybe increase the frequency a little bit?
Yes.
Awesome.
Five times a day, we said.
5 times a day. So you put a goal in there.
We put a goal in there.
Well done. Kudos to you guys. Very well done. Awesome. So thank you guys for sharing those. My apologies, Jess, that I stepped over there while you were talking, but Ashley was being blinded by the light, if you will. I did put those shades down. This table over here had kind of expressed that the sun was kind of in their eyes, so if it's too dark for you or you need the lights turned on or something, let me know and we can adjust that. Or if you want that last shade down a little bit farther. I don't want to blind anybody or make you sit in the dark, so whichever, let me know if you need something. So now that we've talked about, we've talked about how, we talked about the why, the what, now what is next? So next we're going to talk about the evaluation piece. The big thing to remember when it comes to evaluations, that when using these assessment tools, it's great to plan for them and use these tools, but if we're not evaluating these tools, we can't tell if we're making any progress. So this, yes, you prepare all these steps beforehand, but this is a very important piece as well. So what does evaluation look like? The team will collect the data to be sure that the child is learning a new skill, to be sure that there is some success. If there's no progress or regression there in the skill, then the team needs to reevaluate the instructional plan and possibly create a new one. So that being said, I would agree, I would think you would all agree with me as well. If you evaluate a child and evaluate the assessment and see how things are going, would you agree with me that if there's no changes being made, what are you going to do? Reevaluate your plan, exactly. Maybe you're going to reevaluate the planning process or the implementation process. But without this evaluation piece, we wouldn't know if we are successful or not. So data collection monitoring outcomes can look like a couple different things. We can be informed that the intervention is working by a couple ways, whether that's by child outcomes or adult outcomes. It's also important to remember that the data should be reviewed, should be looked at on a daily basis, but more formally, every 2 to 4 weeks, the team should get together and review the most current data. Review what those outcomes are. What are we seeing? What progress are we seeing? So therein, if it's successful, keep moving with it. If it's not, let's change things. So I know we talked about a lot of different assessment tools. One of the ones that's used fairly frequently, and it's great to collect data, it's not super time consuming, is the behavior rating scale. It does not require any tallying. counting or stopwatches, you know, nothing like that, so it's fairly simple. And the nice thing is too, that the effectiveness of the intervention strategies are usually identifiable with this rating scale. So we're going to look at an example of a blank behavior rating scale as well as a completed behavior rating scale. And within those examples, you're going to see different levels. And you'll notice that this looks very similar to the hierarchy of prompts. We know that a child might be more successful if they don't need that 100% physical prompting assistance. They might be at a level 4 where the child is independent. So you want to keep these definitions in mind while you're looking at this blank behavior rating scale. Has anyone seen this before? One person, Megan, you have? I think there's a long today. See how long it lasts. Sorry about that. So this, like I said, is the blank behavior rating scale sheet, if you will. And you'll notice that on the last slide we just talked about the definitions, the hierarchy of prompting, prompts, if you will, and you'll see that within that scale. Did anyone read from the last slide what ND stood for? Or does anyone know? Megan, do you know?
No data.
Someone said it. No data? Exactly. So it can range from having no data at all to all the way up into a 4 where the child is independent. So that being said, looking at a completed behavior rating scale, we can see that little Joey, his goal is to gain his peers' attention using the touch and talk strategies, as opposed to what he might be doing, hitting them with something. So you can see that on April 2nd, it looked like, he started out at a level 1. Going back a little bit, so that level 1 is 100% physical hand-over-hand assistance. And as time went by, this 10-day behavior rating scale sheet, he comes all the way up to a level 4. Now we might want to continue this, in my opinion we want to continue this to see how consistent he stays at level 4, because that's the goal where we'd like to be him at, But you can see that he is making progress. With this evaluation piece, we wouldn't be able to see that. So there are some additional data collection options. There's nothing that says you have to use the behavior rating scale. It's just one that we talked about today. There's some event sampling, duration recording, time sampling, category sampling, task analysis, or some scatter plotting. There are a lot of different ways that you can track a child's behavior. So this slide is just a really quick slide talking about the additional resources and websites that are available to you guys. These are great websites because they're fairly easy to navigate, to understand. So, I welcome you guys to go on these websites and look at these resources. I'm just looking at my notes here just because I feel like we skipped a slide somewhere in there. My computer's been having a few issues today, so let me skip back. There was one slide that we did not see. I think we just skipped over it a couple times. But this is just an example of how to score your behavior rating scale using those levels of assistance. So it's just a different visual of how to look at those scores, and I like it because it has the definitions right up there, so it makes it a little bit easier to understand. So my apologies that I jumped back to that, but I think my computer's got a little bit of an attitude today. So that being said, there are a lot of additional websites and resources, as well as there are a lot within your handouts. I don't want you guys to forget about those handouts. They can be a really powerful tool that you can use. So, a few of the major messages, a few of the takeaways from session 12 today. I can only speak for myself, but I think it's a lot to go over. Embedded learning opportunities is a pretty big concept to grasp. But a few of the major messages from this session. Teaching targeted goals and outcomes requires planning, implementing, and evaluating. So that's definitely something we want to go away with today. Planning, implementing, and that last piece that we just discussed, evaluating. We also want to remember that it's essential that the child and caregiver are engaged in the embedded learning opportunities, which should be offered throughout the day across all the environments. The big thing there that we want to remember is it's going to be so much more powerful to a child. It's going to be a much stronger learning opportunity for a child if it's not only embedded in the routine at school, but it's also embedded somewhere in the routine at home. And we saw this with our vignettes, that consistency of expectations for children is very, very important. It's appropriate that supports and positive reinforcements should be available for children and families. You know, this is going to help them to achieve their goals and reach those outcomes those expected outcomes that you set together. You know, this is going to increase the rate of success, which in turn is going to lead to children's independence, which at the end of the day is something that I think we want for all children. If the goal is to be able to put on their snow clothes, you know, that positive reinforcement, if they do it once, is going to make that behavior last a lot longer. It's going to increase the rate of frequency. And then, of course, the one thing that we just talked about is that progress monitoring is critical. Like I said a bunch of times today, it doesn't matter if you have the most well-planned, it works perfectly, it is fantastic embedded learning opportunities in your daily routines, even if they're at home in the classroom. If you're not monitoring their progress, you never know. You might have one really great day and then a bad day, and then one really great day and then a bad day. And then 2 weeks from now, without monitoring their progress, you might not be able to celebrate that piece, you know, those really good days, because you weren't tracking them. So it's, I know I keep saying it, but it's really, really important to monitor their success. So that actually wraps up session 12. Like I said, I know we went over a lot. So if you guys find yourselves looking at this PowerPoint later and you feel like there was something that you're not really sure about, or you want to just get some more clarification on, you know, feel free to email me, email Catherine anytime. That being said, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and do our Thought Seeds activity. So take just a few minutes, we'll give you about 5-10 minutes to write down some answers to these questions. And since you all have computers in front of you, I know in the past we've been doing this electronically, but if you like a piece of paper and prefer to write it down, we can do that as well. So take a few minutes and go ahead and fill out those Thought Seeds.